Is a match with NYCFC what the Philadelphia Union need? Well, we're going to find out. But we're going to find out more about NYCFC in today's NYCFC match preview. Welcome, everyone, to today's edition of PHLY Union. I'm one of your hosts, JP Zapata, joined as always with the lovely Renee Washington. And from Eyes from the Other Side, please welcome on in. You know him very, very well. The Dan LeBatard Network. Of course, you know him as one half of the Soccer Cooligans. Please welcome on in Don Christian Polanco. Christian, what's going on?
Thank you. You could also say the lovely Christian Polanco. That would also be applicable. All good.
How are you doing, Christian?
I'm doing well. Thank you for the invitation. Always love. JP, we've been on several times. We talk NYCFC versus Union NYCFC back and forth for years. And for years, it was like, oh, let me hop on this pod so I can just talk about how NYCFC is going to humiliate the Union. And it worked out for a fair stretch. And then the last like 2 years, things have been different. So I'm not as optimistic as I normally am, but given especially the Union's home record this season, I'm like, I think we got a chance.
That's right, man. We'll talk about it a little more, but yeah, things look opposite. Things are looking down for you, and things are looking a little bit up for NYCFC. So I can't wait to break that down, man. But listen, lots been going on for you real quick, man. We got the TST 7G7, the Cooligans always rocking it. Love seeing Alexis Guerrero's with my Cheerios in the morning. It's awesome.
We're keeping busy. Alexis is out at CBS every morning. I'm training to win $1 million right now. So only one of us is taking life a little bit serious. All right. So yes, I'm playing in TST. I'm playing on the team called Summer of Soccer, and I'm playing with. I thought it was. They asked me to play. I was like, yo, what an honor! Thank you so much. What other influencers am I gonna be playing soccer with? Because they didn't ask me because they know they can win $1 million. That they didn't ask me for my soccer ability. It was just like, yo, I'll be doing content, take a couple passes and stuff like that. It's me and like 19 other ex-MLS guys. What are they asking of me? So right now, this is what I'm actually doing right now. I'm texting any player that's been on our show that is like within the tri-state area. I'm like, bro, we're scheduling a training session. I need anything. I might text Jim Curtin. I have his number. I might ask him because I need all the help I can get. So yeah, that's what the next 20 days of my life is going to look like.
So it sounds like everybody has their role on the team to help win the money, and your role is more to be
just
the vibe guy. Are you there?
The vibes, the laughs. Make sure people don't take things too seriously. You know what I mean? It's interesting because if you've watched TST, usually there's a couple teams that are like, haha, we're here. Just it's a marketing opportunity, right? And then there's some teams that are like, yo, my kid won't eat if I don't score a goal today, right? So those are the teams I don't want to play. I want people to be as chill as possible, but I'm working on my game. I can't, I don't know if you saw the clip of me hitting the crossbar the other day. So I don't know if you want to add it in post, feel free to do that.
Okay.
I ain't telling you how to run your show. I'm just saying it's a dope clip and it'll make the show even more exciting. But so I got some ability there. There it is.
You saw it.
From the beginning.
You saw it
from the beginning.
I got you.
Bro, what you just
Dude, look at this.
Look at this.
Look at the form. Look at that.
That's
You
a
saw it.
baller right there.
You saw it.
It's
Bro,
actually giving.
what you just saw, I've literally never done in my life. And you caught that live.
If I wasn't a stand-up comedian,
I
you'd be
just
like, yo,
hit it off
okay,
the crossbar
all right, what La Liga
and just
team does
strapped
he
it and
play
started
for?
juggling. I cannot believe I just did that
Rayo Vallecano was good.
on IG Live.
Okay, Real Betis.
This is like
he's
legit
old,
insane.
okay.
I think Kenny Cooper just saw
Renee, the
it.
best part about it is he then comments here like, "I think I'm Ronaldinho now."
It's the commentary for me.
Just, let's just
I
keep
see
it.
Ronaldinho. I don't know. I mean, you might as well change your
you can't
name.
even really tell the two videos apart.
I thought that's who you were. If you hadn't told me differently, you would have had me fooled.
And that Ronaldinho clip, we all know that they had to use CGI to do the whole thing. Nah, bro.
Actually,
All real, all natural, bro. I didn't need any of that. So
One thing we do know is that Christian's definitely going to bring the morality. We showed this in the preview. Yeah, you feel me? That's what we love to see, Christian. That's what we love.
the one thing I want to do, my bucket list item is to recreate this photo, but instead of the Brandy Chastain statue with the actual Brandy Chastain.
There you go. I'm here for that. I'm definitely here for that. Awesome stuff.
So you're
man.
more than just a vibes guy. You're probably the one that's like under the radar, really good. People are gonna think you're coming out there to be funny and have a good time, and you're really gonna be juggling all around them.
Renee, I'm playing possum. Playing possum. Okay, they're gonna think, a Dominican playing soccer? Nah, never even heard of it. All right, you should be playing on the Phillies. You should be a relief pitcher. Okay, get what's your relief pitcher music? Bro, that's what they're gonna be thinking, but no, it's gonna be quite different.
I love it.
I'm so excited for this. I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
Thank you. Yeah, June 5th through 10th, TST. Go watch.
Are you fit? Are you hydrating? Are you like you're ready?
Okay, Renee, you're asking too many questions. You're getting and now it's too personal. You're asking not about my health. I think you're violating HIPAA laws.
Sure, my bad.
I'm okay. I'm all right. I mean, the games are not 90 minutes, so that's good. That's as much as I'd say. I'm glad they're not that long.
Played soccer at a really high level. It'd be really hard for me to jump back in. But everybody's different. So maybe you have been out here Ronaldinho your whole life, just ready for this moment.
Maybe I'm a late game substitution. You know what I mean? To make a difference in the game. Just give me 12 to 18 seconds. You know what I mean? Like that might be all I need to display my ability. So we'll see.
Oh man, that's awesome.
Quality.
There you go. Well, now that we know Christian's gonna be playing some soccer, let's talk about our clubs here with the Union and NYCFC in a midweek match. One that Union definitely do need here. Before we get in all that, obviously, Christian, like we stole a lot of headlines with Cayman Sullivan signing. But by far, Christian, you guys stole the MLS headlines of the weekend. I need to know what happened in this brawl. Like this was like old school bar, like the Warriors type of vibes.
So it's been a lot of drama that NYCFC is not super used to. But this is we talked about it on the Cooligans podcast today. Look, the game NYCFC played against Toronto FC on Saturday, and they won 3-2. And after the game, there's a huge brawl. Sean Johnson, former NYCFC keeper, seen kind of just jumping at another player. Rumor is the player headbutted him or he headbutted. It's hard to figure out exactly what happened. For the most part, it just seems like part of the game stuff. They're mad at him and passionate, and it's normal in games. But after the game, Coach John Herdman of Toronto FC, he made an allegation about a game that happened nearly 2 months ago on March 16th, the last time Toronto and NYCFC played. This was at Yankee Stadium, and he claims that at halftime, him and Jonathan Osorio claimed at halftime that players cornered one of the TFC players, and then John Herdman also made the claim that the coach, Nick Cushing, punched a 19-year-old, one of the player who scored on Toronto, claimed that he punched him in the tunnel during halftime. And the first we're ever hearing of it is now. So that was the claim. Cushing vehemently denied it. It's also, we talked about it on the show. It's just like sort of makes no sense. How could any coach punch a player and we wouldn't hear about it in nearly 2 months? And even if it did happen, and I know Nick Cushing personally, I have no idea if it happened or it didn't happen, but the type of person he is, I can't even imagine him punching somebody. But then the idea that there's a coach that has reportedly a player go up to him and say, "Hey, I got punched by the coach," and that coach is not, protecting that player to his full ability and reporting it to the league immediately, and just mentions it casually at a press conference after a game 2 months later that you lost, makes no sense at all. It is, if it's true, it is a gross and irresponsible way to manage a club and manage your players. So right now, MLS is investigating it. They looked at all the footage from the tunnel. They have not found any evidence. I don't know where this is sort of coming from. It is a spectacle, to say the least, but it makes no sense. There's too many questions around it.
The math ain't mathin'. I mean, you have in a 2024 era that we are in now, where there's literally phones capturing everything. We have breaking news being brought out on social media. We have babies breaking news on their baby TikTok. No, It doesn't make sense. And then like you mentioned, I'm trying to figure out, who does this look worse on? The claim that a punch happened and was just because nobody captured it, air quotes, and cameras weren't working in certain areas of the stadium, that it just got swept under the rug. I mean, what is with the quick turnaround to a Wednesday game following the brawl, the after brawl? I mean, that's a real fight. This isn't just guys in each other's faces. That was a real fight.
Yeah,
and we haven't seen that in a very long time.
Yeah, and also
turnaround now to another game.
In that scuffle, John Herdman also chest bumped or shoulder checked Nick Cushing, which is also with Nick Cushing had his hands in his pockets as he's walking to leave the field, and Herdman checks him, and Cushing doesn't even take his hands out of his pockets. He's just like, "Bro, who are you, dog? Why are you doing?" It made no sense. It just didn't look like I've never heard of really anybody speaking negatively about Nick Cushing outside of NYCFC fans being like, Cushing out because they couldn't stand the losing streak in the beginning of the season. So in how to prepare, for this next game, NYCFC rested a lot of their regular starters in the game against Toronto, and the concern for me is that we kind of look better with the reserve, the reserve players. So I'm like, I don't know. Okay, should we give them more time or bring in the normal starters in the game against Philadelphia? I would imagine we'll probably see a more a similar lineup to what we're used to. But I think we got 3 goals, which I believe might be the first game this season that we scored 3. But they were like proper goals and they looked good, and the buildup was nice, and young players in the buildup, and young Malachi Jones is the winger that scored, and it's things like that where you like to see the young players actually compete and then also contribute and stuff like that. So I think NYCFC generally I've been playing pretty well, especially these last 5-6 games. The Union, I'm sort of more concerned about, if I was in your shoes, because I just can't believe what they've looked like at home. It's just Subaru Park has been kind of a fortress the last, especially 2 years. So that's been that's why I say I'm a little optimistic because of that.
Yeah, something we talk about every week, a couple things like running it back again, that's the big one. You're doing it 3 straight years, sometimes the message could get stale. We'll see. It's a little bit too early to panic here because we're not even at the summer. But right now, it just seems like a lot of mental breakdowns for the Union. That seems to be the big issue there. But you're right. We actually talked about it here today on Monday's show. RSL, that was a big win for them. You think about early on in their season, that's a huge win. Seattle, we kind of helped them kickstart their career. Now they just drew and won this past week against Portland. And then, Orlando's a team that was really struggling, and they put 3 against us. Luis Muriel gets his 2 first goals of his MLS career. So these are, like you just said, Christian, these are things that you just don't hear about here with the U. And then as I'm looking at NYCFC, it's funny because I feel like after 2022, you guys started turning the page on that MLS Cups team, right? That 2021 team. And you guys are kind of in your second year of a MLS rebuild, right?
Yeah.
And so if I see some of your young players starting to flourish, and so kind of talk to us a little bit about what this new young NYCFC squad is, because they do look better this year, Christian.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't start off too strong, but there's clearly a lot of talent. They brought in some Argentinian players, some Uruguayan players, and this is why the seat was kind of hot for Nick Cushing, because people saw the talent that was available, and they just couldn't figure out. It's really they weren't scoring goals. They weren't giving up that many. They haven't had many bad games defensively, but they just can't score. And then when you have that 2020 2021 season, when you have players like Tati Castellanos and they leave, and it's you go from a player winning a golden boot to just now no real chemistry, even players struggling to just create chances. So I mean, some of the players that are at least exciting me have been Julian Fernandez, who is the right winger, who has such a lethal left foot that there was a goal that Kevin O'Toole scored. Who was a left back. He scored, and that was his first MLS goal. And Fernandez was on the right side, and all he had to do was send a cross in with his right foot, get it to Kevin O'Toole's head. It would have been an easy goal. And so he refuses to use his right foot. He goes with he's 25 yards out from the penalty spot, and kicks it with the outside of his left, the most beautiful Trivela to get it to Kevin O'Toole's head, and he bangs it in a header. And it was just wow, you didn't need to do all that, but I love it. I love it. So he's an incredible player. I think and also seeing the Malachi Jones on the wing, who is I think he's a homegrown, but he was on the MLS Next team, and he's just a guy that is playing aggressive. He has an engine, and he will go forward. He goes on. He 1v1. He's too young to be afraid of any defender. You know what I mean? He just goes at everybody. And that's the kind of, I think he's going to either start or get some real minutes, because I think he was really, really impressive against Toronto.
Yeah. Now, as JP mentioned, we've talked a lot about this, and everything that you're saying, I'm not going to lie, Christian, is triggering me, because every single team that we've done a preview for in these recent weeks, the person that we have as a guest is mentioning there's a dumpster fire with our team right now. They're trying to figure things out. There's a lot of chaos going on. We don't know what to expect. They're trying to see if things can get clicking. And like JP mentioned, against the Union, it's been that get right game. It's been the game for them to, go out. Seattle goes out and gets up 3-0.
Right,
and as a team that's been struggling to score, Orlando, same thing.
Little rebound. Get back on the apps. Just whatever. Say swipe right. Who cares? Doesn't matter what they look like.
Don't want them to, we'd rather them be glue instead of a rubber band. Stop being the rebound. Stop letting everything bounce off and have a way better performance after. Let's let something stick, maybe a lead or a shutout. Right. So also, as you're mentioning though, for NYCFC, they've had chaos, but that's not chaos that's detracted from their game. They've been playing well. You look at their results against Inter Miami, Cincinnati. They've had really good showings this season. Plus, youth, Kevin O'Toole, who I got to cover in college, phenomenal player. That's one of your young players that's growing into a nice role with his first goal. Andres Perea, who is a Union guy, gets his first goal. Obviously, Matt Freese. There's a lot of overlap there, but I feel like NYCFC is bringing out the better side of players, and they're stepping up. What is it as we talk about this rebuild that they've been in, what is it about this season that you've noticed that has helped guys elevate their game? Whereas opposed to on the other side, the Union right now are unfortunately doing the opposite and not elevating. Some of them are unfortunately playing a little bit down.
I mean, it sounds like what you're saying is that as soon as players leave Philadelphia, they really just grow into their own and become just like better athletes, better people, and
team players. Whoever leaves Philly is thriving. Is what's happening.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay. Must be a coincidence, but there's something about New York. People leave Philly and come to New York, and it's just I don't know. Things change, but. Look, and even those players in particular who I got to, I met Andres Perea at a like EAFC event, and I super good dude, and I think would have totally fit perfectly continuing at the Union if if it worked out or whatever. And it's interesting because I think it's harder for him. The midfield for NYCFC is hard to get into, and he scored his first goal this season in Toronto. And another guy, just like incredible engine. I don't think he starts in the game against the Union, but it is technically. I would say last year was the rebuild year more than anything. This year feels like okay. Nick Cushing has starting as the head coach for the full season. He should like adjust and know his players and know they're bringing in the players that they want and the whole thing. And the main issue is again, like I mentioned before, just the chemistry up front. There was barely any. Losing when we lost to Charlotte. I think the first game of the season was against Charlotte. When you lose a game 1-0. It's like almost nothing more inferior. I'd rather have a 0-0 tie than a 1-0 loss because, well, I'm exaggerating, but there's something to the frustration of like, why can't we score, especially when we desperately need to, just to get a point here or something. There was a lot of frustration and mixing things up a bit. I think Cushing took a while. The main concern now, this is what NYCFC fans have been talking about the most. Muntef Bakra, the starting striker, the number 9, has not scored this season. And it's been frustrating because it's like the strikers are supposed to score. That's like literally the only reason they're brought in. And he can't find the net. It's remarkable. There was one miss that he had. I forgot who we were playing, but literally it's happened. And he hits it wide. And there's like no keeper in front of him. It was kind of crazy. And this is the first game. The game against Toronto he got benched for Alonso Martinez, and who is like just a guy sort of no one really ever heard of, and he's like finding these like 90th minute goals, that game winners and stuff like that. So he got the opportunity. But the interesting thing is that Bakra he does everything else right. He is he hold the play is great, passing. The chemistry with Hannes Wolf, with Santi, it's amazing. He just can't find the back of the net. So if he starts, which I think he will, this will be a game where I don't know how many chances he's gonna get. Like I mean chances, like how many opportunities is he gonna get to start? Because he might his starting job might be on the line if he doesn't do something productive here against the Union.
Okay, all right. Real quick, I want to talk about. So listen. Christian, I still have nightmares of that 21 Eastern Conference Final. Just seeing Talis Magno score that game winner.
Sure.
So want to talk about that forward position a little bit. I know he's been dealing with injuries as of late, but I know you guys were trying him out at that 9 last year. What's going on with that position right now? I do see you guys got something. I forget the striker you guys have right now, but
Santi Rodriguez.
No, Martinez.
Alonso Martinez, yeah.
Alonso Martinez only started against Toronto, but what's going on with that position?
Yeah, kind of like what I mentioned. Bakar is just not doing it for whatever reason. Talis is probably never going to play at the 9 again. It doesn't work.
Better that way.
For the type of player that he is a winger. Yeah, and he's great on the left. He is one of the trickiest dribblers I think probably that we have in the league. He's weirdly like not super fast, but he's just his like he'll dip the shoulder just well enough where you're like, okay, I don't know if I should be merengueing right now or I should be like bachataing because I don't know exactly how to defend this man. He's just such a incredible dribbler, but he's not a lethal enough striker. He's He's not even one thing I've always mentioned is like he's sort of weirdly like he doesn't have a lot of power in his shot. There's something like with his technique is that he wants to dribble around you and make you slip up so that all he has to do is pass it into the net. He doesn't rocket the ball past any keeper. So he's dealing with injury. I think we need him back. I think he's just such an important player because he's also really, really good with hold up play and just controlling the game, as opposed to like that same position. Malachi Jones is like he's gonna take the ball at every single defender, and Thales is like really good at holding and build up and stuff like that. So as of right now, Bakrar is our guy. He's a Algerian striker. Everybody wants him to score a goal. Even fans were so Tati Castellanos, when he left NYCFC to go to Girona, there was a game that he missed like a really, really great chance, and he was like on a little bit of a slump. And the Girona fans, they got together and decided that in the 9th minute of the next game, they were going to give him a standing ovation to help, inspire him and help him and show that, hey, yeah, you've been having some rough games, but we want to support you. So a couple NYCFC, there's a podcast, NYCFC City Boys, great dudes. And they were like, it'd be a great idea. We should do a standing ovation for Bakrar so that he knows that the fans are behind them. 9th minute comes, silence. Nobody does anything, mainly because we gave up a goal in the 3rd minute. So it just like ruined the moment. Everybody's like, oh, this again, forget this dude. So that's kind of that's the situation we're having with strikers. The goals are coming from pretty much everywhere else, mainly Santi. But I hope Muntef gets his groove back at some point.
So what you're saying is this sounds like it's the perfect collision course for NYCFC. Makes me even more nervous for the Union because the Union have given up 12 goals in the last 5 games. And like JP was mentioning, even something like Luis Muriel comes in, scoreless on the season, trying to find his way with Orlando City, gets a brace.
Yeah.
20 seconds in the second half, scores that second goal.
What's up with Andre Blake?
What's that?
What's up with Andre Blake?
So Bakrar seems like, unfortunately, with those 32 shots he has in the season, second highest on the team, that this could be the game that he breaks through at Subaru Park, because at Subaru Park, we just been handing out some goals to folks. It has been difficult for the Union. In all seriousness, it's like a perfect storm that's finally broken through. They've been holding as much as they could to weather the storm with injuries and running it back with the same group. That's why they were the last undefeated team across the MLS. That's the only positive thing that we really have to continue to hang our hats on. But with Andre Blake, he's been in and out of the lineup. He had fluid drained from his knee. He's been dealing with a number of just nagging injuries. And so he's not 100%, which is why Oliver Zemla is still getting the start. And then, of course, across the back line in general, we've seen a number of different variations in the back four, even in the starting 11. It seems like defensively, the Union haven't been able to figure it out. It's been very chaotic, disorganized. The communication's been off. They haven't been on the same page. They haven't been great in transition. They haven't been great really defensively at all. It's been a lot of times where they're on the attack, pressing, generating good shots. Like last game, they have 29 shots, 6 on goal. But then every time it seems like Orlando City would come the other way, it was a goal or a near goal opportunity. So this is a terrifying matchup for the Philadelphia Union. Back at home, they've been on a slump. The streak has not been fun at all, and they've been giving up goals early and often. So defensively, is there anything that the Union can exploit? They do have players. Julian Carranza will be back. They do have Quinn Sullivan, who likes to attack, especially as a midfielder, looks to get into wide areas. Actually similar to how Thales likes to play, looking to take players on 1v1, looking to get around the edge. They've got Daniel Gazdag, our PK savant, and our leading goal scorer. The pieces are there.
Finally missed one.
I know. Even that, it's Murphy's Law. Everything that can go wrong is going wrong right now. Right. But maybe Wednesday will be the day. Is there an area, I should say, that NYCFC has a weakness that's the Union could possibly exploit? We need help.
Defensively, NYCFC have been decent this season. I would say the pairing of Thiago Martins and Burke Risa has been fairly solid. They're not like, in the past it was Maxime Chanot and Alexander Collins. Are they that good? No, they're not, because they're not as good on the ball, and as far as just like completing the passes that those two other guys were able to complete regularly. So putting pressure on them is probably going to be like one of our biggest weaknesses. I would say our defensively, this is like, and depending on sort of who we start, like Tavon Gray is defending. I think he's one of the best defenders in Major League Soccer. It's why he plays with Andre Blake now in Jamaica. And there's just like, as far as an attacking threat coming from him, that's not really his game. But defensively, we've been pretty sharp. I mean, I would probably say that the weakness, if I can call it any, is probably somewhere sort of like in that midfield. I don't know who is going to start, but if it's like Keaton Parks and let's say who would Sands, Parks, James Sands made like a couple errors that giveaways that we lost to Colorado. I would probably say he hasn't been super sharp as we're used to seeing. So probably somewhere in the middle, if the ball sort of if we lose the ball in the midfield and there is an attack, I think that's when we've been a little bit weak and given up a couple goals here and there. But that's really the only places I can see it, like forcing mistakes. And NYCFC doesn't make too many, but that's kind of I think that's where they're probably going to come from.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm just gonna laugh so hard when Andres Pereira gets a goal and Matt Freese gets a clean sheet. It's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be freaking awesome.
Fine. This is fine. Everything's fine.
Burning building.
Totally fine.
No, it's funny because like this game kind of does feel like it's setting up to feel like. Do you remember, Christian? Do you remember that 2022 game, the Paul Rushing game, where you had?
Yes. The tattoo artist that works for the union was this guy. the guy.
Yeah. And then you had Brujo Martinez with the screamer that eventually got called a Corey Burkle. Like, we were not in the best place there, but that win really did turn our season around, and I'm hoping that's what's going to happen here this upcoming Saturday or this upcoming Wednesday.
Yeah, there's been a lot of good moments. One of my favorites was when we when Union had never won at Yankee Stadium in like their history, and then the one it was like in 2022.
Yeah, early
in that season, and we were there. We were like pitch side watching the game and stuff like that. And everybody's leaving or whatever, and we were filming stuff or whatever about like a recap for the game. And then in our comment section was Jim Curtin. All he said was, "Yo, you should have said hello. Why didn't you say hello?" Like, all right, bro. Like,
he's
you
awesome.
can celebrate. You don't have to celebrate that hard, bro.
In the comment section right away.
That was the game where we had the infamous Daniel Gazak meme where he's like, "Shut the fuck up."
Dude, I mean, it's becoming, I think because of that 2021 game, there's been a bit more of a rivalry. I remember when Union won that game, I remember Bedoya being like very animated, like really happy that they finally got that win. So it's a good history. And I think it's one of like respect, even though it's been chippy from time to time. There's like there's a respect of both clubs. I think respect each other at the very least. So that's why the games are always like fun and competitive.
Well, Renee will tell you too. So Wednesday we got the Phillies and Mets, and then Union NYCFC.
Look at that.
It's gonna be fun around here.
Okay, well, I'm pretty. I can guarantee the Mets are gonna lose. I don't have as much faith in my Mets. They have not been good this season.
That's one thing that I think we can count on, that the Phillies should go ahead and beat the Mets. Yep. But the Union, maybe this is what they need, because as we know, sometimes, and listen, Christian, you have a big matchups coming up yourself. Sometimes when you have a game, you need that extra motivation to help put you over. That's what's, might be the difference. Maybe the games have been almost too pretty at times, and they need an ugly, physical, back and forth game that's just, back to the basics, having fun, trash talking, making big plays, celebrating. That might be the difference for what the Philadelphia Union need. Maybe the past has just been too boring for them and they fall asleep and get flats defensively. But it does seem like there are some opportunities for both of these teams to capitalize based on how they look to play and definitely how they're coming into Wednesday's game. Of course, quick turnaround, but also two teams that offensively need to do a better job of executing. The Union are at least creating chances. They just haven't been able to finish them, which has been a positive because that's something that has definitely been an area that they struggled with in the past. It's usually the opposite, that their defense is fantastic, getting clean sheets, and they're offensively unable to score in the run of play. Aside from, set pieces, penalty kicks has been what they've leaned on. This year, they're creating in the run of play. They're generating chances. Still need to just finish a little bit more and stay on the front foot. So that being said, and I have a feeling I have an idea about how you're going to answer this question. What is your prediction for this Wednesday night matchup? What do you have as a score? And who do you have? I feel like you might even have somebody in mind that's going to be the goal scorer. At least I do.
My prediction here is I think it's going to be a 2-1 NYCFC victory. I think especially after the way they played in Toronto, I think there's a lot. There's and the fact that our coach got accused of punching a guy. There's just a lot of there's a statement that needs to be made. There is I think a certain energy that comes with the team. I think a lot of our players did get a fair amount of rest, given that there was a midweek game coming up. Our goalkeeper. Oh, thank you so much, Philadelphia Union. Matty Freeze has been Harvard has never produced a better athlete. Okay, it's just him and what's his name for Jeremy Lin, bro. It's them two
and Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Never heard of him. No. Those two. Matt Freeze, I think has been. I think he's in early conversations for goalkeeper of the year. He's making some incredible stops because NYCFC are giving. This is, I guess that's my one concern. NYCFC are giving up a lot of chances, but Matt Freeze has been making some unbelievable saves, and every single game he's had to make 3 or 4 goal-stopping saves to keep NYCFC in the game. So that's I think if Andre Blake doesn't start, I think the advantage is going to be there. I think he's going to be excited to be back at Subaru Park playing. But a 2-1 NYCFC win, another win on the road, I think they can do it.
Wayne PA, stand up. That's right. Renee, I don't have a good thought about this one. I think it's I think the Union lose again. And I think they should. I think because this is alarming, the way that they have been playing. I'm going to go with a 2-1 victory for NYCFC. The fact that Saturday is one of those moments for NYCFC that really should bring the group together. And, the Union are going to NYCFC is probably going to take it out on the Union. So it doesn't bode well for us here on Wednesday. So I got a 2-1 L. I think we're taking another L here. Ugh, it's ugly to say.
Well, I will just want to clarify. We're having this conversation before Jim Curtin's presser Tuesday.
That's right. That's right.
Don't know any details that might be changing drastically before Wednesday's game. For the first, I try really hard to be optimistic. I try to put on my positive Patty hat, and I cannot do it today. And the more that I'm listening to you talk, Christian, about the struggles of NYCFC, the more I'm thinking that magically they're going to just click. And those struggles are going to be a non-factor, and you're going to get an NYCFC team. I think Munza Bakrar is going to score a brace probably. Like, I hate to say it, but
imagine
this has been consistently every single week. I feel like we should be playing the lottery at this point or something. Like, I don't even know how this translates into something that can help money in our pockets, because every week without fail, we have this conversation on our show previewing the matchup, and the very thing that our guest says has been a struggle is the very thing that suddenly just clicks and is working beautifully. So I honestly think NYCFC is going to put up 3 goals again, and it'll probably be like 3-1. The Union it'll be like a 2-0 lead, and the Union are going to get that goal to close the gap early in the second half, and you think they're coming back, and then Bakrar is probably going to have his second goal of the day and be celebrating all over.
This is This is the first time this has ever happened. I come on to a enemy territory, and everybody agrees that
we're down bad, Christian. We're down bad.
Remarkable. I cannot believe it. I love it. This is welcome.
I hate it here.
This is now an NYCFC podcast. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome into NYC_NYCFC podcast, where we talk about the lovely team that actually wins games and gets goals and fights and even makes it exciting. Both teams, I will say, are also rallying after a Saturday crazy match, but rallying in totally different directions. What's the team that's rallying?
MLS now that there's like 45 teams in MLS, there's literally too much news. There's literally too much drama on any given weekend that I cannot keep up. I do a show. I have to like talk about all the stories, and I'm like, I can't. There's literally too many. I have to create a whole new podcast series to cover how many damn teams are in Major League Soccer. It is crazy.
It is absolutely wild. Oh man, we'll see what happens on Wednesday. But Christian, real quick, man, it's always a pleasure and honor having you on, man. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to speak to us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you, the studio audience that's here. Loved it as well. So thank you guys. Thank you for the invitation. I always appreciate. Yes, even though I wish the Union lose every single game in their history, I have a lot of love and respect for the team, for you guys. The Cooligans always get a ton of love whenever we're out in Philly. So always appreciate it.
We love you both. And anytime you guys are in Philly, definitely come by the studio. We'll give you that Philly loving at the studio.
Oh, we'll do. Cheers. And likewise. If you're ever in New York.
Yeah, you just casually slapped on a respectfully at the end of that. I love when people do that. Like, I hate your team respectfully. I hope you lose every game respectfully.
Hey, who outside of Philadelphia or South Jersey has ever shown respect to Philadelphia?
At least you slapped them respectfully on there, because that's more than others have done. But it's been a pleasure having you on. You brought in the live studio audience, which we appreciate.
No, I just loved that Sixers fans were so welcoming to the Knicks fans that they saved us all those seats. That was lovely.
Christian, I just got over that loss. Got over it.
And just when I thought it was safe for me to wear orange again. Throw this.
Awesome stuff. All right, guys, that's going to do it for another edition of PHLY Union. Big thanks again to Christian Polanco. Guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe for more of your PHLY Union podcast. For Renee Washington, I go by name JP Zapata. We will see you guys on the next one. Dupont.